consequential question for today is, what the fuck is going on with the NBA and Ben Simmons?
Contribution defined. The part played by a person or thing in bringing about a result or helping something advance. My name is Sean, aka Uncle Sean, and welcome to the Sean Collins Contribution.
Welcome to the Sean Collins Contribution. I'm Sean. Before I open up the floor for discussions, I wanted to go over a few NBA statistics related to players and salary. And so I have some statistics from thesportsjournal.org. And so the first one is who was making the top salary back in 2017-18 season. You got Steph Curry up at $34.6 million a year. You had LeBron right under that at $33.2 million a year. And I think this is interesting for later on in the conversation when we talk about the trade between Ben and Harden. Paul Millsap back in 2017-18 season was making $31.2 million a year. The next statistic for the NBA is minimum pay based on the years of experience. If you have no experience, like this is your first year in the NBA, as a minimum salary, they have to pay you $815,000 minimum. And so there was some other statistics that I might bring up during our conversation. But the last statistic I want to bring up before I open the floor up and we begin the discussion on the NBA and Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons' contract as a whole. So he was signed for a 5-year contract worth, according to the sportingnews.com, he signed a 5-year deal for $170 million in 2019, and he's under contract until 2024-25 season, and he didn't have any options in a contract. And so that's the important part for me. All right, so now with all that in mind, and to help me sift through this question, I have two gentlemen that represent different parts of my journey through life. And our sports-related discussion over the years have been very interesting, and I thought they would bring a lot to this conversation. The first one I have is my man, Chris. He's my current work associate, and we're friends over 7+ years. And I apologize if it's more than that. It could be like 15. I'm just giving you 7 that I can remember.
It's like 18, actually. 18.
My bad.
Nah, it's about, you're about right. It's about 7.
7+, okay.
It's about 7.
All right. Appreciate you being here. And the second guy is my boy from back in the day, being in the military, Gary, a.k.a. G. We've been friends since our time at a military station in Japan. What's going on, my man?
Hey, what's up, brother? Glad to be here to support you, man. Looking forward to the discussion.
Appreciate it. All right, so here we go. So I just have a few more things on where I was before Ben was even drafted. So me and Chris had these conversations, during this time as it was going on. Instead of Ben, I wanted Ingram. So, and I just thought, like, overall attitude and different things related to Ingram, I thought he would just be a better player overall. And then I grew Brandon Ingram, that's now with the currently with the Pelicans.
He started with the Lakers.
He was drafted by the Lakers, right? And so we did get Ben, and I grew to like Ben's game, but I also grew to see that he had great potential to develop the jump shot and everything else that the fans were complaining about to start with. And that just wasn't materializing. And I still personally don't understand what the problem was as far as why he really didn't come back and stuff or whatever. And so I'll open up the floor to you guys as far as, where were you guys prior to the draft, and like were you paying attention to him when he came to the Sixers then, and then your insight on maybe what happened from then until leading into, before the draft and stuff?
Personally, with me, full disclosure, I'm a LSU fan, man. So I follow all LSU players still, basketball, football. And so I was on Ben, big time from the jump. I think he has, more talent, more skills than Ingram. And so, I just thought it was a great fit going to Philly, Philly being my hometown team growing up. Not my hometown, but my favorite team growing up. Even though I divorced him later on, but, I kind of just admired him with them from afar. And I just thought it was a good fit. And I thought he was going to be a great player once he get his shot, because everything else, he's a master of it. He can handle the ball, he can defend, he can run, he can jump, pass, everything you want a basketball player to do. He's got it. And actually in college, he had a good touch on his jump shot. He was really consistent on his little mid-range. And so, I was high on Ben. I just thought he needed to extend his range on his jumper. And I thought he would have been, all world.
Yeah. So real quick though, what do you think happened with the jump shot? Like, why do you think it disappeared?
Well, you got a player, man. You got to realize that you're coming into the NBA, right? And you're in a rabid fan base. Philly fans are, I love the Philly basketball fans. I'll put it that way. The other fans in Philly, okay, whatever. But you're trying to develop your skill, and you're under a microscope, man. And everybody's got an opinion. They're measuring you, where you start, where they expect you to be. And so you're trying to get better in that fishbowl, man. That's a lot of pressure. And so I think that may have caused him to do a little clamming up, because they got these huge expectations on you, and you're not sure. They want you to show that market improvement. And so now it became, okay, we expect you to get there. You're not getting there as fast as we want you to get there. Till now we just want you to shoot. So it's like, I think it became like a mental hang up for him, man. So,
like G over here. I followed him in college at LSU. It was I'm a heavy college hoops fan, and I knew from the beginning, his senior year in high school, they had the promotions for him, and I knew that where the Sixers were in their process. So I knew they were going to be right around the bottom of the lottery or the top of the lottery, however you want to look at it. And I'm like, all right, well, get this kid Ben Simmons. You automatically think Magic Johnson. You see the size, you see the handle, you see that potential, and you got Embiid already. So I'm like, you always see Magic Kareem. You see those, and that's kind of what I envisioned for him. But I think now, once that whole thing, to your point about the jump shot, in college, he, as you said, G, all world. Like this dude, I mean, he's 20 and 10 basically in college. It was like 19.9 and then 12 rebounds, I think, something right around there. He was right there, and it's like you think that would translate to the NBA, but I think now in retrospect, we're seeing now what he was already dealing with his first year, as G alluded to, that pressure. I never would have thought that then, that's what it was, why he wouldn't develop that jump shot. But as I see now, I'm thinking G's hitting the nail right on the head. Like, he just wasn't mentally tough enough even then to be able to meet the expectations of what he was expected to be. And I'm starting to see it now. I think this was always him.
Right.
But he was getting away with his natural God-given ability. And then the work he put in, he put work in. But for whatever reason, he couldn't get through that mental. Everything else came easy to him.
Yeah.
Like he used his size and his speed and all of his ability to get by all them years. But now you're going against men, like grown men. And at this league, you have to be able to do a little bit of shooting. And if you're not, you're going to have to compensate that. And he wasn't willing to compensate with the aggressiveness that he needed to be on a consistent basis. And with the way he was playing, if you're not going to be aggressive all the time, you need to have that jump shot. With your size and ability, you got to be able to do that. That's going to help the team. And the fact that he never developed it, I'm thinking a lot of it has to do with what we see in him right now, the whole mental part of it, he couldn't handle.
Yeah, and think about it. You say, look, he was living off his God-given talent. And look what it got him, though. I mean, he just read the numbers, bro, 170 million. So now you got this guy, making 170 million, doing what he do, you know, at the level that he's on. And so you got to realize too, you know, basketball is not really necessarily in everybody's heart like it is, you know, like if you look at an AI or LeBron or Michael Jordan, these dudes, they're gonna get better just to get better just because they want to dominate you, man. You know. So, you know, with this guy, you know, he's got the size, he got the skill, he can hoop, he can defend. You're like, yo, I'm gonna take this and ride this out.
Yeah.
You know, what he should have been doing was saying, I want to be LeBron.
Yeah.
I think that was his ceiling.
Yep. I agree.
You know, instead of saying I want to be LeBron, he's like, yo, this
I want to be Ben.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think he still has it too. He's got the potential, but what he doesn't have, I'm confident in saying he don't have the love for it. He can say it all he wants to. The game I love, you know, I was hard being away from the game I love. I saw him say that last week in an interview. You know, I was hard being away from the game I love and doing what I do. No, if you really had the love for it, the way that I think a player of his caliber should have the love for it, you would have been playing.
And Sean, isn't that what I told you, Sean? Remember a conversation where I was like, you know, he's playing basketball because he's good at it, because he has the size and the skill and the ability to do it, and it pays millions of dollars. That's why he's doing it. He's not doing it because he's living and dying basketball.
Absolutely.
And that was another thing I was looking at, his true passion for the game itself.
Yeah.
When he sat out, you know, in order to qualify his first year, when he got hurt, and then he sat out in order to qualify to be a rookie the following year. And so, I mean, I think that's a pattern right there. And then, you know, I questioned when he sat out because I think it takes time to gel. And I would have preferred him to play instead of sitting out that first year in order to get the experience of playing in the NBA. And then that way that helps his game a little more versus just sitting out. And then what was your argument on that point, Chris?
Yeah, I'm about to say you and I differ on our philosophy on his reasoning for sitting out. Now, I think some of it may have to do with what you said, some of it, but I think it initially got to that point after they realized, you know what, by the time he's really healthy to play, we're already going to be out of it. We're going to stash him up for this next year, save him up, get that number 1 or number 2, 3 pick, another good lottery pick, and we're going to shelf him this year. We get a good lottery pick, and we'll bring all 3 of them out. This year's number 1, Embiid and Ben together, and we're going to start going up from there. So I do think initially they had plans for him to play, and I believe wholeheartedly you can knock him now talking about his lack of passion. I do believe they had every intention on playing that first year. But I think once they said that that injury, because it was his foot, it takes longer, especially in somebody that size, for it to actually completely heal. And once they push that back to February, by the time you get to February for that rookie, I'm like, yo, they're already out of it. They're thinking business. That's what they're thinking. We're going to get this lottery pick, and we're going to stash him again. We already did it 2 years with Embiid. We can ride Embiid. This is Embiid's first year actually full playing. So we have enough here to keep the fan base interested. They're not going to really notice this tank too much because we got Embiid to keep them occupied. We'll stash Ben, get this number 1 pick. We never would have known it was going to be Markelle Fultz, and they're going to go ahead and have that issue with him.
Yeah, I was
going to
say
that's a whole other story.
Well, that's the one that that threw the monkey wrench into it because you hit it on the head when you said it was it was the process, right?
Yes.
Where they were. It wasn't just trying to suck. It was a process where they had a strategy to get those lottery picks, and it was working.
It was working,
and until that was the one bad move they made.
That's the one.
And then the NBA stepped in and kind of tried to put an end to it. But to me, it was working.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I think it still worked if you really look at it, because the whole point of it was you don't have to keep the ones you draft if you're using the draft pieces to go get something else to make you that championship caliber.
Right.
So it's not a failure, even though Ben's not here anymore. They went and got somebody better than Ben. So if this produces a championship, nobody can say the process didn't work.
Right.
So, and that was their goal from the very beginning. So now as a businessman, big shout to them. Sucks for the fans when you're watching during that process, but if you own a team, this is what you want. Patience.
I think the genius is in telling the fans straight up what they was doing. Yeah. This is the process. And so the fans like, okay, we sucking because we know what we finna get. If you just, you can't just suck in Philly, man, and just because you bad, just because you bad. You're like, okay, we see what the process is, and so we see these talented young players coming along.
It's a very clever way to tell everybody we sucking on purpose. Because we can't come out to the league and just say we're going to tank. It's a process. It's a process.
Right. It's a process.
Yeah. Wink, wink. Yeah.
I also think that kind of hurt Ben a little bit when you talk about having veterans on your team.
Yeah.
Because he could have used somebody, man,
Absolutely.
to pull him in.
That's a good point.
Say, dude, we know you got this skill, man. You got to work on your game, man. You can't just come in and think you're finna ride this out.
Your guy, my fault, though. Your guy, Charles Barkley, is big on that. He always talked about when he got there as a rookie, it was Moses Malone was his guy. Moses Malone always told him, man, you ain't playing because you fat and you sloppy and you don't work hard. He always talks about that. Moses did that. Ben didn't have that guy in his ear doing it, that veteran. So now it's a good point.
Right. And you expect him to be a leader with being with Embiid, right? And so young guy, he not, he never been a veteran on any team he played on from college. He was a young guy in college.
He was a young guy in college.
Young guy in Philly. He's not a, he's not a leader. He's not a veteran. So, you kind of need that person. And I think, I know we're gonna get off topic, but you're gonna see a beast with him in Jersey, man, or in Brooklyn or whatever it is. Because
I got that feeling too.
If KD can take him along, so we'll see how that goes. I know that's off topic a little bit, but I do think that having that veteran presence, kind of handicapped him a little bit in terms of putting that beast in him. Everybody not born with that beast, man. You got to get it though,
Yeah.
So
now we gonna get there. I mean, I think the overall let's segue into now him wanting to be traded. So and so my thing is I'm all for player control. I've said this all along, and we've had some conversations on some of the movement LeBron's made or whatever. But LeBron's had that in his contract. Like when you at the top of the game and he's at his level, like he strategically was able to do that in his contract with different options and different stuff or whatever. So leading into the trade, I would have preferred him to, okay, you're mad, go play this 1 year, show, not even that you got to improve with the jump shot, just go show what you've been doing and then show on a business aspect that, other teams can want you or whatever. And so this is where I think he dropped the value for the Sixers.
I was going to say, who would that have benefited though?
But I'm saying this is just like if from a business aspect and, for him to take care of his business and maybe still make it through. I thought open it up to as far as let's try and get some insight on prior to the trade and where did you guys see things going? Because I would have kept him to the end of the year and tried to get a better deal or something or whatever, instead of sacrificing what we gave up, Seth, Drummond, and who else did we give up?
Stupid tax.
2 first-round picks, and then Ben.
Sean, brother, you got holding him. You wasn't gonna get any more than wasn't gonna allow you to get more than what you got. Holding him cost you what you gave up.
Season.
Yeah. He became a depressed asset, man. Like when you got an unhappy player who told you straight up he ain't gonna be there, he don't want to be there, and to your face, I will never play for you again. You got to get rid of him at that point.
But wait.
Holding him.
Hold on, let me cut you off real quick. Not that we would have got more, we wouldn't have lost as much.
You lost because you wanted to get him in off season. Yeah, you want to Harden.
Right, we get him in off season. We get Harden because he has that option.
Who would you rather have, Tobias Harris or Ben Simmons, though? So that's what I would ask you. Because in order to sign him in the offseason, you'd have to move Tobias Harris.
All right, and I didn't mean to cut you off, G, to finish your thought. I'm sorry.
No. That's a good point. But I'm just saying, you can't just pick up from where you are. You got to look at where you came from to how you got here. They could have had Harden last year straight up for Ben Simmons if they wanted him. They didn't want to give him up. They feel like, he's a younger player. He has a higher, he has a higher ceiling, they thought, in their mind. So they didn't want to give him up.
Right.
So in my opinion, that was their mistake, not realizing he's not an asset to you anymore. Now he's a depressed asset because he's not going to play for you. Okay, he could go become Michael Jordan for somebody else, but he will never be Michael Jordan for you.
So if I can just interject and just add a little more to that. So everything from what I understand, and including what Ben said as well, and even listen to Daryl Morey. I guess his title is not the GM. Elton Brand's the GM. I guess he's the president of basketball ops, something like that, whatever his title is. But the whole thing is that this is part of Ben's problem because last year they were willing to give Ben up for Harden. They wanted to. I didn't want him to because when I was younger and I saw the potential and I thought he was going to evolve and do what he's going to do. But I didn't want to do it, but they were willing to do it. They did have his name in the trade, but Houston was unwilling to trade James Harden here because Daryl Morey was no longer at Houston. So they didn't want to help Daryl Morey out.
Because he went to Philly.
Exactly. So he wanted. Yeah. So James Harden is being truthful when he says he initially wanted Philly. It was Houston that held that trade up. Philly was willing to put Ben Simmons in there, but Houston wasn't willing to send Harden over here to Philly, and that's one thing that set Ben off. That's because they were talking about that last year during the season. How Ben was frustrated that he was involved in the trade, and and that kind of just set everything else off, and then he used that as the precursor to when he didn't shoot in the playoffs in the fourth quarter against the Hawks. He used that combined with that, everything he got from that, the Joel Embiid's comments and Doc Rivers' comments. I don't know if he can be the point guard here. I don't know that yet. He used all of that and threw in the fact that he was going to be traded and just not really understanding the business of basketball. And as a person, I get it. Like, you don't want to be traded. You don't want to be thought about like, oh, they want to trade me? Like, as a human, but that's the business. That's the nature of the beast that comes with the territory. Your name's going to be out there. So, but they've shown that it affects even veteran players, right? Even when LA was when it gets the trade deadline, their veterans they started looking even worse. They could be more shaky. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't. But they're able to deal with it because they know it's the nature of the business. I mean, but you got a young player. He's trying to be all in. He's bringing. I think he was giving what he had to the team. He wasn't shortcutting the team, but then yet and still they're saying I'm not good enough. He's hearing that, and then you brought up the trade. Okay, they're willing to trade me. Then he's got Embiid taking little pot shots at him. Mm-hmm. So I just think he just said, the F with all y'all, I'm done with it. Mm-hmm. And childish as that may be, and as that may sound, when a man tell you he's done with it, then he done with it. And even his agent, they were trying to talk him out of it. Yo, look, man, you got a lot of money. You can't do this. And finally, they was like, yo, he's not playing. He ain't playing. He's not gonna play for you guys.
Here's the difference, though. The Sixers gave him a 5-year contract with $170 million, based on what he could become, not what he was currently doing. What potential he showed in order to be that better player once he developed a jump shot or whatever it is. And so if they value you at that amount and they pay you that, then the expectation is a little higher. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if you show that potential and that's what we paying you for, and then you decide like, no, I'm good from what I'm already doing. Like there's no need for me to improve this, that, or the other, because that's the feeling I got out of it.
Yeah.
Then maybe the Sixers overvalued them, but he signed a contract. He agreed with it. Like, all right. So I'm pretty sure they didn't give him all that money to say, yo, just stay just like you are, even though, you have the potential to be a little better with a jump shot or whatever else. Mm-hmm. And so, that's how I seen it. Like, the Sixers overvalued him. I think he gave credit to that value. And once he decided for whatever reason, like I'm no longer playing for you. Like I said, instead of playing that year out to allow his value to maintain and maybe be able to be a better a value towards the end of the season or whatever, he devalued himself and in turn messed up the ability for the Sixers to trade him or to do anything right. And that's why, again, I would have said I would have sat on him. Now
that was intentional though. He devalued himself to punish them.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. True.
Like I say, business sense goes out the window, man. It became personal.
And that's
at this point,
yep.
this is a personal thing between him and the organization, him and MB. Look, you know, you're gonna get rid of me right now. I'm not gonna play, you know. And if you're gonna try to hold me, I'm gonna punish you by just not even playing, not working on my game. So, like I said, I think if they had a set him, he wasn't gonna work on his game. You know, he's just gonna sit around. You're not gonna get the value that you think you're gonna get for him going forward.
Well, yeah, definitely.
So my question though is that, I mean, Sean, you said they overvalued him, and G, you just said you know, that he wasn't gonna work on his game. But see, I challenge that, because I don't think that they overvalued him in terms of a player, because they saw him in practice. They saw him up close. They saw what we don't see. They saw him working out. We know he worked out. He worked on his game because he posted that stuff out there. But we look at the fact that he didn't shoot, and we summarize it and say he didn't work on his game. When he worked on his game, he just refused to do the basic principle of basketball: shoot. Right. It wasn't that he couldn't shoot. Right. It's that he wouldn't shoot, because he demonstrated in videos over and over again, the dude can shoot. Right. And it looks like it's a pretty good jumper. Right. He just didn't want to do it. Right.
And he shot better in college than what he does in the pros. And so it's to me, like I said, it's a mental thing. And like you say, they got in practice, and when they was working on him in the offseason, you know, he knocking down these shots.
Absolutely. So
when you get in live fire, man, it's a little bit different.
So
my point about him not working on his game is, in Sean's thing about just hanging on to him, in my opinion, as a way to punish him. Yeah. I think in that point, he's already showed you what he's capable of. I think if you would have held on to him, you'd be like, okay, fine, you know, like.
But
I'm not going to make myself an asset for you.
I wasn't saying that was I would do that to punish him. That would just be.
I'm saying that's my opinion. That's my opinion, not your intent, but my opinion is that's just a way to say we're going to punish you because you know, we're going to make you do something you don't want to do.
When he decided he wasn't going to play, he already set the course. Like, he's punishing himself. He don't want to play. So again, I just go back to a regular Joe. Yeah. Either being in the military or whatever. Like when you go to work,
I want to address
especially
that.
if you sign a contract.
I want to address this because
you got to work.
I'm glad you said that. I want to address this because you know, you hear a lot of times when people, you know, compare themselves to NBA players. Right. And say, well, I got a regular job. I go to work, man.
I'm with you, brother.
So I want to track that on 2 tracks, man. The first track is, you know, when we go into the military, right? When we sign our contract comes with sacrifices. Our contract comes with giving up rights. Yeah. You don't have the right to free speech. Okay. You know, you can't go out and you think you're gonna go out and kneel somewhere. You don't have the right to not show up to work. We signed to give up those rights. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you can compare that. I mean, I know people like doing that, but I don't think you can do it because it's a sacrifice thing. We give away many of our rights, you know.
So let me just respond. The purpose of a contract is to have an understanding on what's expected. So
I understand that.
Again, the military is tougher, but it's nothing specifically in a contract to say don't do. Like there are more specific than an NBA player's contract, I would assume. But at the end of the day, a contract is a contract, and it serves the purpose that you have an understanding of what's required. So when he signed a contract for 5 years, he's basically saying he's going to play. So when you become disgruntled and you don't want to abide by the contract any longer, then that's just like any other contract, regardless of whether it's military or anything else. So that's my point with that.
Yeah, use this as an example, though. I don't think the contracts are the same. Right. Kyrie signed a contract, right?
Right.
He decided he wanted to step away after the riots or whatnot, right? What happened to him? Okay, transpose that to me and you. we see that we want to step away for a couple of weeks. What happened to us? We go to jail. There's different consequences, man. I mean, you can't compare.
But also too, but also,
compare.
Yeah, and I agree. You can't compare it here. If I can jump in on that, because like even with the contract, you got to remember too with these players are dealing with, particularly in Ben's case right here, and a lot of these players have the same mindset. The organization expects me to abide by the contract, yet you're not doing it. Case in point, then if I'm signed here, my name is coming up in trade rumors. Mm-hmm. Like you signed me to play here for 5 years to this money, but yet my name in the first year of this deal, you're about to trade me? Like naturally, yeah, that's part of the gig. But in his mind, like, nah. So now that you're not going to honor the contract that we all signed together, I'm out. That's what I'm going to use this as one of those reasons why I want out. And anybody can say what they want to say. The regular people out there who want to compare their lives to mine, nah, they didn't honor the contract either. They're trying to trade me, and they were willing to do it.
This goes back to what I said. I'm all for player control, and this is what the contracts are for. And this is what options in the contract are for. I'm pretty sure the NBA has in there, or each team, that they have a right to make those trades. And it's up to the player to get what's his representative or, whoever's representing him to put options in there. And if they're unwilling to accept those options, like to have something to be able to get out, like, if you do trade me, like I do get to say this, that, or the other. So even though this is like his first big contract or whatever, like if they really want him, then that's the discussion you have before signing the contract. Once you sign the contract and you don't have options or anything else, like you said, part of the business is the owners get an option to trade different players and stuff or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the only way you can take control of that is to put something in your contract.
So no, that's not the only way.
The last thing. At the end of the day, contract serves as an understanding on what you can and can't do. Right. And when you decide to go against that, like Chris was saying, owners go against the contract when they trade them. No, that's in the contract that they're allowed to do that. Otherwise, they just don't do it. It's got to be in the contract in order for them to do that freely.
Here's the thing. Like you say, it's a part of the business, right? Signing contracts. Also, another thing that's part of the business, Sean, is players holding their services, man. And so that's part of, you don't like it, they can withhold their services. Mm-hmm. You don't like that part of it, but that's part of the business. But people don't realize, Ben is not the first person that held out and forced a trade.
And that's what I was going to say. Those are the loopholes.
Kobe Bryant was supposed to be traded from the Lakers until they went out and got Gasol. I mean, he was out. I mean, if you got a star player that don't want to be there, you got to move him, man. They do it. James Harden, he forced his way out of Houston. He was under contract. Mm-hmm. Their way of getting around what you're saying is the only way is to put the language in the contract. Right. The other side of it is there's other ways to get out of it. Right. And that's all. And that's all. And management knows that is part of the business. They know. Okay, if we ain't keeping this guy happy, he want to get out. We got to get rid of him before he becomes a cancer to our organization. So
they know. And they know it because they know every sport's doing it, and they eventually give the player what they want anyway. Right. So they know that's the unwritten loophole in the contract. So that's the thing. They know that's
all part of it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, so let's go into now. Now he's traded. Like we already one game in, so by the time this is released, they'll have several games in. But now they did finally make the trade. Harding, I think they gave up too much just to get Harding, and some of your points, G. They waited too late. Maybe they should have did it earlier, and then once they already. I guess Ben felt disrespected for his name even coming up for trades and whatever happened. Now that he's traded, I mean, I really didn't like Harding, like coming in. I like his game, but, Sixers are on defense. It's like what they gave up now, to me, there's no other rationale or mindset other than they better win this year. Like They don't get these 20-something games to gel and hopefully in the playoffs, they can excel or whatever. No, I was like, who the Sixers playing in the championship? Anything other than that is like, why did they trade?
Sure.
And the other thing I wanted to bring up is not to punish Ben, but why trade him to another team that you're in competition with, and
that's easy,
and have that potential to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
When again, I think they had a pretty good team that maybe they wouldn't be considered to win a championship, but they had a good shot. Like,
right.
I mean, I still like the way they were flowing. They were still up there in the rankings and everything else. So that's my thing with the after the trade now. So what's y'all insight on after the trade has happened now? Let's
compare them, just the team they are now and going forward, to the team that they were before the trade.
Mm-hmm.
What they how great could they have been before they made this trade with what they had without Ben Simmons? And how far can they get with James Harden and what they got? Mm-hmm. They're a much better team with James Harden. Because even here's my point. Even if you would have had Ben Simmons showing up every day with the team they had, I don't think they were going to win a title.
Yeah.
They got a chance to win a title now.
You said with Ben Simmons or with him sitting out?
With him sitting out, they would not have.
Right.
Even with him, I don't think they would have. Even if he was showing up, playing every day, I don't think they would have been there, because his game doesn't suit what Embiid does. I mean, it's kind of like a pieces to a puzzle. Harden fits in perfectly, man. He can open up the floor. He gonna space that floor. When Ben Simmons can come down, he can handle the ball, he can pass, but what the defense sagging off of him. When Harden come down, and when he cross half court, you got to pick him up.
Yeah,
because he got range on that three, man.
Right.
And so I think they're a much better team. Just comparing, you try to see what they lost, and I say they paid a stupid tax. Yeah, you paid a stupid tax, because I don't think. I think they should have been able to keep at least one of those guys. Either one of them. Curry would have helped with the shooting. Mm-hmm. Who's the big boy? Is it Drummond?
Drummond, yeah.
Yeah, they could have. I think they would have been better off keeping at least one of those guys. Mm-hmm. But to me, in my opinion, they paid a stupid tax for the way they handled the whole situation. They should have made that move earlier.
Yeah. So I agree. I agree somewhat with what you're saying. Like maybe halfway with what you're saying. Like, but I do think it was necessary to make the deal. I didn't want to give up Curry. I didn't want to give up Drummond either. But think about it. What did you really give up? Give up a backup center who plays 15, 16 minutes a game. That's all he plays. And he's going to leave at the end of the season anyway. So you're not going to hold a trade of that caliber up for a 16-minute a game guy. You're just not. Steph Curry, as valuable as he is, you just upgraded that position. So essentially, really what you traded for, you weren't going to get anything out of Ben. He wasn't going to play.
Right.
They made that
He's off the table.
Exactly.
Right.
So what you really got was you got James Harden for Seth Curry and Andre Drummond. I mean, really, are you really complaining about that? No, nobody's really going to complain about that. You gave up the draft picks. Nobody cares about those draft picks. There's going to be 28, 29 picks. And they couldn't make the trade earlier because Brooklyn was unwilling to do it at the earlier time. And he wanted either Dame Lillard, Bradley Beal, or James Harden, or no one else. And then at the end, he would revisit it and look at maybe bits and pieces of all-star caliber players, but he wanted a superstar.
Right.
And he had three names in mind: Lillard, Beal, or Harden. None of those teams were willing to do that. The players didn't want to go out right then, so he couldn't make those deals right then. He played his cards right, being very patient, knowing, and listen, we know there's a wink going on back there and back channeling and all that stuff going on. He has a relationship with Harden. Like you know that has to factor into it. They know Harden wanted to be there. They knew he was unhappy in Brooklyn. They knew Kyrie didn't make it any better because him sitting out, not getting the vaccine, he messed up Brooklyn. So now you made James Harden unhappy because now he's doing the same thing in Brooklyn as he was doing in Houston. And he personally said, I want to leave Houston so I don't have to do all this stuff. I want somebody else where I don't have to do all this stuff.
Right.
And now Kyrie ain't playing. KD is hurt. I'm doing the same thing. I'm in Houston all over again. Yeah. Get me out of here.
And people have accused him of being a selfish player.
Right.
The system in Houston called for him to play that way. I mean, They were going to shoot threes, man. That was it. That was everything, and he was a motor.
You talk about AI in his team a few years ago, right? He didn't have anybody around him. Harden was the same way. All they loaded him up with shooters, and that's it.
Right.
Yep.
So the only thing I disagree with what you were saying is for the trade, Drummond and Seth, you gave the value of losing them from the Sixers is not really no big deal, but on a business aspect, even though Ben was never playing for us again, that's still $170 million asset. Like you can't just pretend like, and the skills that, huh?
You got to get it off the books. That's business. You got to get that off the books. He ain't playing for us. I ain't paying the guy who ain't playing. I got to get it off the books.
But I'm talking about when you're trading for talent, though, that's what you're trading for. Is Ben Simmons is at the top of that. So yeah, get him off the books. But again, you can't have
got a better player.
The only comparison I could say is like a Toyota and a Mercedes-Benz, a luxury car, and then you give them for a compact or whatever. Like,
nah, you traded the Toyota.
I still have a luxury car, and that's what I'm expected to get. You can't just blow them off to say, well, here's
the deal. Here's the deal, though, Sean. They don't trade cars. They don't trade players. They trade contracts. And so that's how they get the numbers to work up. So if you want to give a guy who's worth $90 million, $170 million, just because you gave him $170 million, you got to you're trading that contract.
Right. This just goes back to my point.
Then value him at 90. So now you, instead of just going 1 for 1, you got to give up that player plus some other stuff to get up to the 170 because they don't value him at that.
Right.
So
you got to remember too. Go ahead.
No,
you got to remember also that if they were to do this, and I said this earlier, like if they were to do this later in the offseason, as you said, they should have done, and they could have kept Curry. Yeah, they would have been able to keep Curry. Drummond may have decided to stay again. Who knows? I doubt that, though. He's going to get paid to be a starter. And if he did stay, okay, he's still only going to get 15, 16 minutes a game. So you're not really doing much there. So my point is that if you were to get Harden in the offseason and hold on to Drummond and Seth Curry, you're going to have to give up Tobias Harris because you can't get Harden's salary to fit in there without giving up that max contract. So it's a matter of, do I want Curry, Harris, and Drummond and Tobias Harris, or do I want Harden, Tobias Harris, and Embiid? Like you have to give up in order to make him come in order to make Harden's contract work. And Harris will be a much better player with Harden because now Harris is a third option instead of a number 2 option, which he does not thrive in as a number 2 option.
Right.
He's better suited as a 3 option. And you can even argue, you got Tyrese Maxey there too. So them two can swap 3 and 4 on a given night. Which option is which
3A, 3B, baby.
Exactly. So, and you want to hold on to that because they're going to thrive. You don't want to hold on to Seth Curry and Drummond. And the reason why you want to do it also, you can't waste Embiid's season this year.
There you go.
You cannot waste this.
That was my next point.
Yeah, you can't. This is too good of a season. He has a real good. It's literally him that has this team as the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference before the trade went down. That's literally him. You add a superstar talent, a Hall of Fame talent to that. Yeah, you got a shot to win the title, get MVP. He would have had All-Star Game MVP had it not been for Seth shooting the lights out. Yeah, you could have had everything right there. He can get so they I think they handled it the right way. You don't want to risk losing this season for nothing.
And Chris, to expound upon that a little more, not just this season, man.
Absolutely.
How much longer you think Embiid gonna be able to play at this level? How many years? 5?
Mm-hmm. Great point. Yep.
Okay. And so people complain.
Probably.
People complain about Harden's age. How much longer you think Harden gonna be able to play at an elite level? 5 years?
I don't even give it 5. I give it maybe 2, 3.
Right. Like 3 years?
I give it a -1.
Nah,
he played his best already.
You good for 2.
But you said he's a bum. Sean. So your opinion.
So let me redefine the bum. He's a bum for what the Sixers had to give up. Like even before knowing what they had to give up to get him, I don't think that trade the Sixers gave up too much. If you don't think the Sixers gave up too much, huh?
You think they downgraded?
No, I never said they would downgrade by getting them. I just said in order to get them. Like the problem is Ben Simmons. And so
correct.
In order to fix that problem, like I was telling you before, Chris, it's not necessarily punish other players, but I would allow them to have a shot at winning a championship because, again, the way the record was and the way they were playing, they still had a shot. And so now making this trade, to me, there's not even a conversation I want to have now. I just want to know who the Sixers playing in the championship. I don't want to hear nothing else.
You're right. All right. Let me say this
playoffs. All right, go ahead.
So, to your point, okay, but they told you by making this trade, Sean, you're wrong. We don't believe your philosophy. We don't think we have as good of a shot as you think we do. Because if they believed that they had a shot to win it this year, they wouldn't have made that trade right now.
Right.
They would have held on to that, got Harden for free, and moved Tobias Harris over. They didn't believe that they had a shot to actually beat Milwaukee or Brooklyn. They didn't believe it.
I don't think they had much of a shot at all. I mean, I'm not gonna say they didn't have a chance. They had a chance.
I agree they had a chance, but it was small.
But then you got Milwaukee, you got Brooklyn, you got Miami.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think they were. To me, in my opinion, I don't think it would have been to beat those three teams.
Yeah, it's gonna be trouble. It was gonna be tough. Yeah, it's gonna be real tough. Yeah. Right. They had to be flawless each game in order to beat those teams as constructed before the trade. They had to be flawless. And they showed you throughout this year they weren't flawless because they were on one game, off another game. No, they needed a bona fide superstar that even if he's off, he can make everybody else better.
Right.
And Ben was unwilling to do it. He wasn't playing. Ben wasn't going to do it for you because he wasn't playing. And Seth is good, but it's not like he's shooting 65% from the 3-point line.
Right.
It's not like he's averaging 27 points a game.
Right.
Not at all. So, they had to make the move.
This trade puts them on the top line.
Yes,
I mean, Sean, you say they got to be in the finals, but I mean, they're in the top line as far as they looking eye to eye with Milwaukee right now. Yeah, you eye to eye, you toe to toe.
Absolutely.
And my thing is, how are you going to expect a team that they got popped by Atlanta, that same team, to come now and go to the finals? I'm talking about the team with Ben Simmons. They got popped by Atlanta.
Yeah.
So now that team is going to go to the finals.
Without Ben Simmons too?
Right. No.
It's not going to happen.
It ain't going to happen.
Yeah. They knew that. They knew that. Yeah.
So I hear what y'all saying. I don't feel like they disagree. I think the personal relationship the GM had kind of put him in a bad position to make the deal. I think it was more personal than business. And so it's not that I was wrong, or
no, I think it's both. It's both.
I think they shouldn't have waited.
It's both.
Thinking they should have waited, no telling what kind of deal they could have made, at the end of the season. I just think they could have made a better deal at the end of the season than what they did now, just to get him. So now my question,
even if that's true, you have to go back to Chris's other point. Why waste this man's season?
Right.
He's playing at an all-world level. Yeah. Let's do it now. Let's not wait. Yeah.
So let's
try to cash in on this season. Let's try to cash in.
Real quick, with Embiid, things happen for a reason. I contribute a lot of Embiid stepping up, which may be a blessing in disguise, is to prove, Ben, that he's on another level now. Like, I don't need you, Ben. I'm going to show you what I can do.
Joe's
in order to lift this team up a little heavier. Yeah, so that's my take on the Embiid thing.
I can see that.
It's good to see.
Right.
So,
but you got
he can drop 30, 40 a night. Go ahead.
He was doing, but this is the kind of year he was having last year also, though. With Ben. He was having this same type of season with Ben last year. So to your point, I do agree also that he's like, in his mind, I don't need that, as you said, brother, MBeth.
Right.
And in Joe's mind, he's like, I don't need him. We're going to do this without that. Right. Just like Giannis did. He didn't want to go nowhere else. He said, I'm going to do this here. And everybody else can go wherever they want to go. I'm going to do it here with what we got. Joe, I think, has that same mindset. We don't need him. He's going to act like this, don't want to show up.
Yeah.
We're going to do this like this, and we're going to get the best we can get. And they all knew that he needed some help. And they saw that. They knew the reason he didn't get MVP last year is because he missed too many games. He ain't missing them games this year because they knew we got this MVP right here. We're going to play him. We're going to ride him. And now, since we've been riding him, he's been delivering. Now we got to get him some help.
Right.
And that's why I said it's not only a personal thing. It's personal and it's business. It's both.
It's personal because Ben Simmons made it personal.
Yes, he did.
And then you got to also remember, a lot of people was questioning whether or not those two pieces fit together anyway. Right. We didn't know if they fit together skill wise because Embiid would benefit from somebody who's a better shooter.
Right.
It's going to space the floor for him.
Yep.
And now we know it didn't fit personality wise. So that's another person. They personalities don't,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't gel, man. So it was a bad fit.
Yeah.
So I mean, and now he's got a dog. I mean, what we say about Harden, man?
Yeah.
He ain't shy by taking no shots, man.
Not at all. And that's what Joe.
It's going up. If you leave him open, it's going up. He did that last night, right? I was watching. I didn't see the game. I watched the highlights. I see this brother coming down, hitting threes from the corner. He's doing all kind of stuff. I'm like,
my man hit
I was thinking about you too, Sean. As he's dropping them threes, I said, I wonder what Sean's doing, man. I mean, is he watching this or what?
No, here's the difference. From last year when he had Ben, and this is the different stuff they was looking for Ben to improve on or whatever to help out with, to this year not having Ben, and now Embiid is bringing the ball up sometimes, and he's launching more threes. And so without Harding, what I've seen with the one game so far since Harding played, but without Harding, Embiid still couldn't see the floor and hit the open man. You know what I mean? When he get double
he was
and triple
doing
team.
that this year, man.
No,
he
I
was
said
doing it great
before Harding. Last year. I'm sorry.
Last year. Okay, well,
last year.
All right. He was
this
better,
year.
but
he's improving on that.
He's great.
But nobody's perfect, but he's improved on that.
Right.
The one game I seen with Harding yesterday, and I think the reason why they scored the 133 was Harding is showing them how to get that open guy, either slashing or whatever. Mm-hmm. You only got a certain amount of space to get that in. And I think they did that to
it's
perfection yesterday as far as being able to score that 133 or whatever. So
you hear Embiid's comments after the game? Right.
No, I didn't listen to anything.
Yeah, he told you why. He was like, man, I ain't had that much space in front of me ever. Like it's the presence of Harden, and Harden was double teamed a lot. Joe had single coverage. Mm-hmm. You got to pick your poison. You going to double team James Harden? You going to double team Joel Embiid? Well, without Harden, they're going to double team Embiid. When you got Ben Simmons in there, they're going to double team Embiid. Yeah, right? This is what he always had to deal with.
With Ben Simmons, they could have double teamed Embiid and another shooter
and somebody else. Absolutely. But now with Harden, you want to double team me? James got it. You want to double team him? Well, they double team him. Tobias Harris said the same thing yesterday too. He only had 8 points, or 6 points, and he was like, "Yo, I had all this space in front of me. I couldn't believe how much space I had in front of me." And Joe said the same thing. I've never had this much room in front of me in my entire career. You had two guys, your other two stars on that team said the same thing about the spacing, all after one game with one player.
Right. Yeah. And that's what makes a difference. And that's why everybody was salivating with Ben, right? It was like this dude could get a shot and space that floor. Not like Harden, but just space it a little more.
Yep.
Give some. It would have been over.
It's it.
Yeah, everybody was salivating.
They would have won last year. They would have won this year and next year. And then it's over. Yeah. But he wouldn't do it.
Right.
And I'll say this. Ben did that intentionally. He intentionally didn't do it. His coach said, I want him to shoot one 3-pointer a game. Ben said, what? He ain't shoot a three for the next 23-something games, 20-something games. Yeah. Like, that's intentional.
It's intentional.
That tells you the mindset you're dealing with that kind of play.
Right.
All right, so where are the Sixers now? So, I mean, give your predictions now on the Nets and the Sixers outcome on this. So, at the trade deadline, the majority of the people, as far as what I was listening to, thought Sixers gave up too much and the Nets won big. And you have Seth and Drummond already starting over there at the Nets because of, the player situation or for whatever reason.
Yeah, they ready to go.
And they've been playing, maybe won a couple games for them before the All-Star break and stuff, whatever. But so what's y'all prediction on how far these guys go, the Nets and the Sixers?
Short term, I think Philly is a much better position. Short term, long term, I think it made both teams potentially great. And that's what people have a problem with is you made Brooklyn become a great team going forward. And my thing is you can't look at when you're doing trades what it does for another team.
Mm-hmm.
You got to look at what it does for your team.
Right. That's it.
You can't be worried about, well, it's going to make Brooklyn great. Okay, what does it do for you?
Right.
Does it make you great?
Right.
So wait. Yeah, let me chime in real quick. Let me chime in real quick on that because in the short term, you've made the Nets a valid team for this year also. And so to not make them valid, at least for this year, is what I was talking about. Now, long term, at the end of the year, and you definitely get rid of them for whatever needs to happen, then whoever gets better from there is fine. But this year, like y'all was saying, if this is Embiid's year, why make the Nets a more dangerous team also this year when you're trying to win it? So
people are banking on injury too, man. I mean, we ain't seen KD, man. You know, what he gonna look like when he get back? Is he coming back? Is he gonna go back out? Right. They got question marks. Kyrie, hey, man, Kyrie can check out at any time, man. I mean, so it's cat, man. You never know.
They can stop the pandemic and they still be like, anybody seen Kyrie?
Right.
They dropped the mandate. Like, he ain't show up today either. Somebody call him, please. I'm gonna ride by his crib.
My thing is the Nets have to go through so many teams to even get to you. At this point, they're in the playing game right now, right?
Yeah, right. They're number 8 right 9, now. Yeah.
I think. Oh, 8.
Yeah. 9,
Before you even see the Nets, you're gonna make them go through some teams, man.
Well, no. Here's the thing. To that point, though, you know, I think the Nets are going to be a formidable opponent no matter who they play, no matter what round it is. You don't want to face the Nets if they're at full strength, no matter what their record is. So here's the thing: if for some reason they don't climb out of that 8, 7, 6 spot, the Sixers, as constructed now with Harden, still may end up 1, 2, or 3. You may conceivably still play Brooklyn in the first round as a 3-6 matchup, a 2-7 matchup, probably not a 1-8 matchup. They'll probably get out of that 8 spot. But if they don't, you may see them 1-8. You can see them in the first round. That's conceivable. Yeah. So, and you did make Brooklyn better in the short term and in the long term if those guys' minds are right and they're going to play together. And Ben's
they got an if. It's an if in there, though.
It is definitely an if. And for Philly, definitely short term, you made them better. No question about it. Long term, that's a little more tricky because Harden's age, you got to worry about that. I think at least for a good 2-3 years, you're going to have a chance, barring any injury or anything like that. Yeah. You got a good 2-3 year window as a bona fide 1, 2, 3 seed with a legitimate chance to win a chip.
Right.
Next 3 years.
That's all you can ask. And when I say long term, I'm thinking the term of Embiid's greatness. I'm seeing this brother being great for about 5 years.
No, I agree. I do.
To me, that's long term.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
And so I think this trade sets them up. Now they got to add some more stuff, in the offseason.
They're not done. Yes.
They got to go out and do something else. And that's why I say they got to do something. I'm not getting back on that bandwagon until I see what else they do. I like where they at right now.
I like Daryl Morey, man. That dude knows what he's doing out there. He's not going to listen to the fans just because the fans have opinions. He waited. He calculated, he waited, got what he wanted, and we're going to see where it ends up. And I think also getting it done now as opposed to later, you're already, if you don't win now, because that's not a guarantee. You may not win this year. You still got some good teams you got to face. If you don't win now, you're set up that much more to take off and run next year because now you already have chemistry. You'll have a training camp together in the off season. Like you're going to take off running next year and you get to the proper pieces. You know what you need now after you see it. Right. Now you get a couple extra pieces. Next year, they're going to take off running.
My thing is this. You can approximate Steph Curry.
You got no timeouts left there, Sean. Let my man speak.
No. If I was G, I would have slipped in the F-bomb and then hold the F up. Y'all talking next year. I don't even know why this discussion is even going beyond this year. If y'all not talking about the Sixers winning the championship this year, then everything we just talked about doesn't make sense. The trade doesn't make sense.
That's not
If
true.
you're not winning this year, this trade makes no sense this year.
That's not true.
You might as well have waited to the end of the season.
No, you have to lose more.
You would have still been able to get Harden at the end of the year if you don't plan on winning it this year.
But you lose Tobias, and you still plan on winning this year. You still have a chance. A better chance than you would have had.
That's another discussion, because losing Harris and looking for some improvement with this guy, if he don't show up in the playoff this year,
correct.
He won't be able to leave Philly quick enough.
We agree. We agree on that.
So he would have been on the table at the end of the year anyway.
But it's easier for him to show up now. He's got less pressure on him, more spacing and less pressure.
I agree with that.
It'd be easier
How
for
many
him
points
to
he
show
had
up.
yesterday?
6. And they were all in the first 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah. He had like, what, 27? 20 something?
Harden had 27.
No, I was talking about Harris.
Harris had 6, maybe 8, but I think it was 6. Yeah. And they were all in the first couple minutes of the game. Like, he had 4 early, then I think he may have had 2 later on in the game, but he only had 6. Yeah. But he admitted, I had
yesterday's game, like I seen the difference. They went on a fast break. Harris had it. Maxey streaking down, and he's coming down like, all right, what are we doing? That's the regular Sixers way. And then a couple of plays later, Harding on a fast break, Maxey streaking high.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Maxey lay it up. I said, that's the difference they needed. And so I'm cool with that. And hopefully that can rub off on Harris. Like, yo, they just wasn't looking up enough, and then they coming down. Like, you always got to cut and keep your head on the swivel. Like, what are y'all doing? I think Harden brings
chemistry,
that.
though. I think Toby's play, what you're describing, is chemistry. Like, he's got to figure out what he's going to do, where he's going to fit in this new team, which is, again, to my point that I continue to emphasize, is another reason why you had to do it now. So if you don't, chemistry matters. And if you got to build that chemistry, you should have enough time to build it before the playoffs. But if you don't, you're still playing. Milwaukee is loaded.
Yeah.
Brooklyn is still loaded.
Yeah.
Those teams are good, man. And there's no guarantee you're going to win.
And then if you do come out to East, Phoenix and Golden
State, man, there's no guarantee you're going to win it. So, but now, getting this chemistry together.
You in the ring with them cats now, though. They got to go toe to toe with you.
Yes,
now.
you're right. Yeah, I like how you said that.
Yeah.
You in the ring with them, absolutely. You in the ring. Yeah. You wasn't in the ring. You was in the corner looking on, cheering on.
Right.
Now you in the ring. Right. Yeah, I like that. That's good, brother. Yeah.
So again, I'm gonna just make sure I get my point across with this. In the playoffs,
since we just keep dismissing it. Okay.
No.
If it don't go this year, what are we even talking about? If it
I'm
don't
not sure what y'all two drinking, but I just want to make sure y'all understand where I'm coming from with this. I don't care who we play in the playoffs, what round. I expect us to be number one, everything to be coming through Philly. And I just want to know, like, that 4-0 playoff series that we're going to have with everybody, like how much we going to beat them by. If we going to win, and then, maybe next year. I don't understand none of that talk.
Yeah,
we're winning this year.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the trade was a dud. Like,
so
you could have got them at the end of the year.
I'll say this to that point.
And then don't let it be the Nets that win. Don't let the Nets beat us.
Okay. Well, see, that would look bad for this year. No question about it. But to your point,
though. Wait. Chris, if you cussed, you would have said more than it'll look bad.
Yeah, you're right.
That'd be...
Absolutely. Sean,
all right. It would be, but...
One quick thing. But before the trade, Harden, Kyrie, and KD, they would have won a title this year anyway if they would have been healthy. So I don't see how them winning the trade didn't make them any better. I think they still on the top. They still a top line team.
Absolutely.
Well, I really wasn't sold on the Harding. That's just me. I wasn't sold on, like, I don't think they gelled together. Nah. So, I'm big on the gelling. Like, I don't think they gelled. So even though they haven't had time to play in order to gel.
Did you see them when they was playing together though?
They was lighting it up.
They were unbeatable.
Whatever.
They was lighting it up because they only had like 6 games together, but they was lighting it up.
I wasn't a believer.
I think it was 16 games total. I think it was like 16.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, Chris, but I'm just like,
no.
Hey, it's not like they needed this trade to become a title contender, man.
Correct. 100%. Correct. So you didn't make Brooklyn better, so to speak. Right. They would have been at the top of the league if KD wasn't hurt and Kyrie was playing. Right. Jalen wouldn't have been a factor with them. They were doing their thing. And
even before the trade, Vegas had them as the favorites to win the title.
Absolutely.
Think about that.
Yep. And so you can't get any better than that as the favorite. So, you know, but you made yourself better. And in the same process now, what you were saying, Sean, if we ain't talking this year, then there's no point in having a discussion. Here's the thing. You can realistically now have that discussion about this year. Now you can. You couldn't have that discussion about this year winning the championship. In their minds, and really in my mind too. Like, they had a chance, no question. They had a chance.
Right.
But it wasn't like the chance they have now. I would give them about a 35, 40% chance at best without the trade, prior to the trade. Now you're talking 65, 70. Like, you really have a legitimate shot of
Yo, is my mic working?
It's not 100. It's not 100.
It's 100%. Like,
it's 100% possible.
Yo, I take it back. Let me ask you a quick question. It's a 99.9% chance, whether it's possible or not. No, it's a 99.9% chance they better win. That's all I'm saying.
Let me ask you this question, Sean. Are you saying that because you think this team, as after the trade, as they're constructed right now, is the far and away best team in the league and they have to win? Or are you saying that because you wanna grade the trade? You wanna say, well, you gave up so much, so now you have to win? Or are you saying they got this much better, so they have to win? Why are you saying that?
That's it.
Why are you saying that?
When you gave up so much, you're saying we guarantee to win this year. I mean, even Harding said it also. Hell yeah, like on that first interview or whatever.
Yeah.
And so
but that wasn't
that's the expectation from them.
That's the expectation, yes.
And as a fan, I'm saying the same thing. There's no other discussion other than like how we celebrating. And I don't even want them to make it and lose. No, you winning. the question is not even if they're gonna make it. No, they making it.
I'm gonna tell you if they
how
get
many
there and lose,
how many games is it gonna take to win the championship? All right, go ahead.
So Sean, if you feel that way, you should be jumping up and down behind this trade. You feel that much confidence in your team now?
Yes, absolutely.
You know.
No, yeah, I'm trying to get some tickets to the championship game.
If you expecting them now, nothing short of a title. You wasn't expecting that before.
No, before they had a chance. They had a good chance. So I'm with y'all on that. They had a good chance. But now that they made the trade and gave up what they did, I'm on board with them. I'm making plans to try and make the championship game. I'm checking in the tickets. I don't even know what city it's in right now, but I'm checking it all out.
Don't buy the tickets yet, brother. Don't buy the tickets yet.
Well, according to you, it's going to have to come through Philly. You're going to get at least 4 in Philly.
Right, there you go.
At the most, True
that. But I always wanted to. You know what? Yeah, you're right. But no. The West got a better record though. Yeah. No, the West got a better record though. So, those home games is still probably going to go to the West.
Chris Paul's out now, so they're going to lose some games. Golden State's only like 5 games behind them, so they still have a chance. To lose some, drop a few more games.
My last couple things. So real quick for who y'all think the Sixers will be playing in the championship game on the West? Like who y'all think coming out of there?
Ooh.
I still got Golden State.
How I phrase that.
Like I do. Now, you're talking about this year. Philly's going, no doubt.
This year, only this year.
I was about to correct you and say, actually, I got the Bucks, but okay. Man, that's tough.
It is going to be tough, but here I think I have to give the edge to Golden State now, especially that Chris Paul's out for the next 7 weeks. I got to give the edge to Golden State. They're getting healthy. They're getting their big man James Wiseman back. Clay's going to have his feet underneath him now. They're going to take off, and then when the playoffs come, you're just now getting Chris Paul back. You got to integrate him back. Now he's going to fit seamlessly because of his game. He's going to fit perfectly, but he's got to knock that 7-week rust off. And it probably won't take a long time, but he's 35, 36 now. And it's not going to come that quickly. And when you get to Golden State, man, they're going to be rolling. They're going to be rolling. I think it's going to be tough this year. I think that messes his chances
Their
up.
system makes them scary, man. But I'm going to roll with Phoenix, though, because if I can assume Chris Paul coming back healthy, if you're going to give me that, and and I don't care who's got home court. I would take the Suns because I like the fact that they got guys who can get their own shot. Devin Booker can get the ball and do whatever he want to do with it.
I love D Book, man. Yeah. I love
and,
that.
And Clay's a spot up shooter, man. So they got to get him open. Yeah. So it might be a little bit better to deal with him. So I would take the Suns.
Great series, man.
Suns got that big man. They got that big man down low who like to eat too.
Yeah.
So
all right. So who's in the championship game? The Suns. I
got a repeat, man. I got the Bucks and the Suns.
The Bucks and I thought you said Philly was going to win it all.
Who?
No, you said when they meet the Bucks, that's it.
I said Philly going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals and play the
Bucks.
With
the Bucks. Okay, gotcha.
This year.
All right, who
said
you got,
this year,
Chris?
I got Philly playing the Bucks.
Yeah, only this year. Like the predictions next year and 10 years out, like I don't want to hear all that. Yeah. According to you, G, like the Sixers going to do some dumb-ish.
Right.
So Harden not even going to be here next year. You're going to be like, what happened?
Right.
Philly. They did it again.
Now listen. I come on your side.
We don't know what happened. Huh?
Yeah. Then I would agree with you. That trade was stupid. It was dumb. You should have never done it if that happens. If James ain't here next year, and he didn't sign his extension yet. He said he was.
He said he was staying.
He didn't do it yet, though. So there's still that chance. But I think
the Suns and who, Chris?
I don't have the Suns. I
got the Warriors.
I got Golden State.
Oh, the Warriors.
Philly.
My bad. Okay.
I got Golden State and Philly because I don't think Philly meets up with Brooklyn this year. It's not going to fall that way because it's too exciting. It's not for this year. It's not going to happen this year. It's going to happen next year. This year, I don't think it's going to happen. So I think Philly gets to the finals this year, loses in 7 games to Golden State.
Wow.
That's what I think.
All right, here's my prediction.
In Golden State in Game 7.
Wow.
Philly does have the number 1 seed, or they will have the number 1 seed, and they will match up 1-8 with the Nets.
That's crazy.
If not that first round,
they may lose in the first round.
It will be the second round. But they will meet up because I don't like, how Ben now is probably not going to come back and play until after March 10th when they're supposed to play the Sixers.
Right.
And so
and I think that's
whatever
crazy.
He does, there's no way he play, but he can't come back to Philly and play in a playoff game if it was mental then, because there's no way the fans is letting him live when he gets back here at all. So they're going to come up with some other excuse on, he's sick or a new pandemic or something.
If you're Brooklyn, you can't let that happen either. You got to have him play and get accustomed to playing in Philly as an opponent before the playoffs. If I'm Brooklyn, I'm like, nah, yo, I don't care if you think you're ready or not. You getting out there, even if you get out there and you getting out there. So
get out there and let them boo you, whatever. Let them get it over with.
This would be another telltale also, though, if he even comes to the game, because he's traveling with them and stuff, right? He's showing up to the games on the bench. Well, so if he don't even come to Philly to sit on a bench, that to tell you a lot also.
Absolutely,
so let alone play.
Absolutely, we'll see.
Man. Can you imagine I don't think his mental. I don't think his mental thing was so much the fans as it was the organization and Embiid.
I agree.
That's right.
I do agree.
And then the fans, that's a part of it because you got to go sit in under that microscope after feeling a certain way about your organization.
Yeah,
you ain't jiving with it with Embiid. So now y'all, everybody's watching you, in that pressure cooker,
Yeah.
And
so this leads
I think
to my last question.
Added to it.
This leads to my last question. Ben's issue, was it really mental or was it just business? Because when they started finding him, at the beginning of the season, during preseason and stuff, he wasn't showing up and they was finding him. He shows up to practice the once, and then Doc has to send him home, and then they come up with the mental thing or whatever. So do y'all really think it is something mental? Because that's one of the next podcast discussions I'm going to have with mental illness. And so whether it was just strictly business, like this was the best way for him to get out of Philly, or was it something really mental illness?
Well, I think you could take business off the town. I don't think business had anything to do with it because business he would have been playing. So and business ain't got to do with it. It's either personal. It started out it's mostly personal, just personal relationships. And then so that can affect your mental ability. So I think he had an extreme personal thing with the organization, with Embiid. And he saw that it's a low-hanging fruit, right? I mean, they putting this pressure on you to show up. Personally, you said, F them. I ain't never playing for you again. Now they're trying to hit your pockets. How can I protect myself?
Yep.
Mentally, that backs them up, right?
Yep.
And so, I think it was extreme interpersonal relationship that broke down. I don't think anything business had anything to do with it. So, I mean, I don't think it benefits him business-wise and forces his way out of Philly.
Right.
To a team where he's probably going to be third, fourth option, where he could have been a co-star in Philly.
Absolutely.
That's the business move. So business ain't nothing to do with it. It's all personal. And then I think, you can subscribe some mental stress to him. But I think it was more, I'm not saying it was a total excuse, but I think it was an excuse initially to say, you can't force me to show up now.
Right.
And I think there could have been some validity to it, in terms of, I don't want to be, knowing that we have this friction between us, I don't want to go sit in the stadium, and have the fans, you know how the fans going to react, man. You didn't checked out on the team. So
best fans in the world.
Yeah,
Chris.
and to that last thing you just said, you checked out on the team. That's what makes me tell you that I think is unequivocally, no doubt, a no-brainer. This is mental. That dude's mindset is not right.
Right.
It's not right. Mm-hmm. And I think he is using, he is reaching for the cliche of the mental health to get paid.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't think he has enough humility to come out and say he has the mental health illness until they're taking his money away. But I definitely think this is all mental. I think it's all mental. He's weaker mentally than he appears that he wants to let on. Right. And because he's mentally weak, he couldn't handle certain things. He couldn't handle the pressure of playing in Philly. That's a mental issue, and it's messing with his mind. There's no way it's business or personal when you refuse to shoot in the fourth quarter of those games. Right. That's mental. That played with that dude's mind. He's hearing all he's hearing all the criticism, and then and all of that stuff played into it. He's questioning himself now. Listen, that it's I believe him 100%. That is a mental issue, but I think it's not the way he would never say it until they took the money from him. So I don't think he's lying at all. I don't think he believes it as much as he really has the issue. I think he has it even more so than he even is willing to admit. Right. But I definitely believe
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
He's got some mental issues going on. I believe it 100%.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think it's personal with a sprinkle of mental. So any final words, gentlemen, before we wrap it up?
Nah, man, I just appreciate you having me on, man. Hey, it's a pleasure meeting you, G. Definitely. Look forward to being on again, seeing you, rock with y'all again, man. But appreciate you having me on here today. Good talk.
Absolutely.
All right back at you, Chris, man. Good meeting you too, man. I just want to say, I really enjoyed the talk, and good to meet you. And I think this is a good forum. Just looking forward to chopping it up, man. This is fun. Getting that out there, and you can get your ideas out there, and just hear other people's perspectives. Because a lot of times we have our own, and sometimes some phases we agree, some phases we don't. So, we'll just see how it goes.
And I like to say, again, I appreciate y'all. It takes a lot to get people's time and stuff. I do appreciate it. I hope to see you guys down the line.
All right, man. Appreciate
Good discussion, fellas.
Absolutely,
appreciate
man. Pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Sean Collins Contribution Podcast with your host, Sean, and special guests, Chris and Gary. We hope you enjoyed our discussion on the NBA and Ben Simmons before and after his trade from the Philadelphia 76ers. Please go to the website, www.unclesean.com. That's www.unclesean.com for additional podcast information and links. Also check out and contribute to #The Sean Collins Contribution. Join me for the next episode with special guest Dr. Gladney as we discuss mental health in her dissertation titled Race-Related Stress in coping among African American male baby boomers, an empirical study. Until next time, peace. You see what I did there, G? So I'm gonna bleep me out. That way I'm not offending my man, but at the same time, they know what I mean. So, but this goes into, and you know, I want to go into trying to wrap it up because honestly, I don't even know how long it is. So I'm gonna have to. That's something I'm gonna have to add on the list. 20
minutes. We've gone for an hour already, man. We can get a lot of time in talking about sports, boy. Yeah, it's been a good hour.
So y'all know I'm definitely gonna cut this up somewhere.
I was gonna say 3 brothers talking sports. Come on.
Yeah, all we need is some wings right here. Something, man. Look, like
I'm only gonna keep the good parts of what's necessary. So, G, you might not make the whole clip.
I was gonna say so. Me and Chris not even gonna get heard. We'll just
it's gonna be like when somebody else talking.
Wow.
U-S-E, that's what it's on. Sean Entertainment be the name. Who we at? On deck.